out of the freezer and into the oven. Well, that's what happened to us in early 2019 as we traveled to Phoenix from Alberta, Canada. It went from really, really cold to really, really hot, actually needing to bring a winter coat to the airport. But then the second you arrive at the airport, we needed to wear shorts and a t-shirt.
We traveled to the Valley of the Sun January 10th to 14th to attend Ace Comic Con that featured some really one-of-a-kind guests, even by Ace standards.
Yeah, this con was a pretty interesting con for sure. I do remember it was like, I believe we were both in our final school year or something like that, pretty close to being done. And it was like right at the start of the semester. And yeah, it was like, screw you, school, let's go on a trip.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. Now remember, you arrived in Phoenix because you have a second house in Phoenix, so like a couple of days before me, if I can recall.
Yeah, I think I got in a day or two before you.
Yeah.
You up at the airport.
No, you didn't pick me up at the airport. You told me to take a Lyft or something, an Uber, and then I took an Uber there, and I just like I didn't know where I was going or anything, and the airport was like, your house is so far from the airport.
Yeah, it's a good like 40-minute drive.
Yeah, it was a pretty intense drive there. And then, yeah, we arrived at your house, just kind of decompressed, went to bed early because I'm pretty sure we woke up fairly early the next day. And then the next day, we went over to that mall. What do you remember about just that mall itself?
Yeah, the mall at the kind of the arena, the outdoor mall. Didn't really have much. I think I had like what, a candy store, a really overpriced candy store.
Yeah, and I think like a lot of the stuff by the time I got there was closed and everything, and like we literally didn't had nothing to do for the most part.
Yeah, we were just walking around in circles. It was like really nice out, but the only unfortunate part about this Ace was that it's kind of so far away from everything.
Yeah, so there's legit nothing to do. I do remember needing to get my beard trimmed, and all I wanted was a quick trim, nothing fancy, just 2 seconds. Just give me a damn trimmer and I'll do it myself, right? And I'll pay you barbers to do it. And the earliest I was able to get in was like a couple of hours later, and like the barber did not understand what I meant by a quick trim, and she was trying to do all these like fancy things to my beard and stuff. And I was like, no.
It's just a disaster. You know that's going to be a good Comic Con when before it even starts. That chaos
Yeah,
ensues.
yeah, it was just such a nightmare. I'm like, what's so hard to understand that I just want a quick trim? I'll pay you 5, $10 and let me get on with it. I don't need no like she tried to put all this like weird ointments in my beard and stuff, and it's like I don't need that. I just want it to be trimmed down from like a 3 to a 1 and like cleaned up a little bit, like takes 2 minutes literally. But yes, after that we just kind of waited in line at the arena for Ace. What do you remember about waiting in that line?
I remember them moving us to the back because I had the Alexa Bliss VIP, so we got to go wait in a different line, which was nice. I
Right.
just, yeah, it was it was kind of organized, but kind of disorganized right at the start. But
Yeah, because they also didn't understand that, like how I didn't have a VIP and they were trying to separate us and everything, but then they separated us only for a little bit, which was kind of pointless to begin with. Like, who cares?
yeah,
And then then I do remember the way we got our wristbands was pretty unique. Like, we had to go all through all these lines, and like everybody got their wristbands first, regardless of what type of wristband you had.
yeah, that was nice.
Yeah. And then boom, like that, the Ace Comic Con began. This is the only Comic Con I've ever been to where it takes place in like a hockey or a basketball arena as opposed to like a convention center.
The first few Aces, like this one, it was definitely more organized than the last Arizona Ace, but you know, it's kind of awkward because what was it? All the vendors were just on the main level, and then there were some on the second level. But yeah, and then inside the arena itself was just the photos and autographs.
Yeah, so yeah, this time around it was basically like you had to really put the effort if you wanted to either go do these celebrity stuff or you wanted to go to the actual like vendors and stuff because though they were in like the concession stands, the 100 levels, the 200 levels, where all the autographs was on like the floor level where like the basketball game or hockey games were taking place. One thing I found interesting, one thing they improved on from our A Seattle trip is how they handled the metal detectors. So you just had to go through, you had to go to what through the one metal detector to get into the events, and then you had to go through a metal detector to get into the photo op area. But once you were through that metal detector in the photo op area, you didn't have to keep recircling. You were just done.
Yeah, we could just sit in the seats and just wait. It was
Hey,
actually really convenient.
yeah, it was really nice with those seats because you were just like, if you weren't really interested in shopping and you just wanted to get your photo ops and wait in between, there was perfect because you would just get your photo op and then go to the 100 levels, or like not even like the row one and everything, and just sit there until that was time to get your next photo op. I think this is the most rested my feet have ever been at a Comic Con.
Yeah, it was super nice. And then I just remember us sitting in those seats, and they had that one like table right beside, kind of near the photo op area, that sold those like overpriced protective sleeves. And I remember the guy just being like, "You're spending $200 on a photo of a lifetime. Why can't you spend like $10 more for this protector? Like, because we get a digital photo too, dude."
Yeah, not to mention it's like there's you get so many photo ops and you get so many of those damn prints, right? You don't even look at them; they just sit there and collect dust after a while, unless you hang them up or something like that, right? But
Yeah.
even then, it's like after a while, there's no space. So if you go to cons like we do, right? Maybe if it's a one-time thing, that's pretty funny. I do remember the like guests on the Fridays in Ace. They kind of developed into a pattern where it was like wrestlers were on Fridays only, basically. And I believe for this con, it was just we had two photo ops and they were both wrestlers. So I think we met Becky Lynch first. And by this point, she was well, like 6 months ago when we met Becky Lynch at the Seattle Ace Comic Con, she was still like Becky, like,
Steampunk.
yeah, steampunk Becky, right? Not really a heel, not really a face. Well, I guess she's just a forever face, but with not really much of a gimmick. And now
Yes.
she was literally weeks away from winning the Royal Rumble, and she's already the man at this point and everything like that. What do you remember about that photo op?
I remember it being pretty wild to me, like a wrestler, like when they're already like, max popularity, they're gonna win like the Rumble, and like all hype is behind them. It was pretty neat to meet them during that kind of like chaos of everything.
Yeah, I remember we each had an individual photo op, but we're just so used to getting photo ops together that we totally forgot about the second photo op, and we just got a photo op together instead.
Yeah, and the photo turned out so good though, and then we remembered. I think it was like a couple hours after,
Yeah,
and and then we actually got a refund on one of them. They actually gave us the refund.
yeah, which is really nice and really like different for a con. Most cons are kind of like
They would have brushed you off and said sorry.
your fault for not realizing, which to be fair was our fault for not realizing, right? So it's always nice that they were like, hey, you know what, here's your money back and everything. Like Ace just goes above and beyond in every level, especially with customer service at that point. The photo looked really nice. I remember, I don't know if it was why it was, but like their flash was up really brightly, and I was like, oh God. And I'm like, I turned to Becky, I'm like, that flash, it hurts. And she's like, yeah, you get used to it eventually. Can you just imagine? That's one thing I can never imagine about being famous is just like the constant flash. Like that can't be good for your eyes on the long term.
Yeah, I can see why a lot of celebrities wear like sunglasses. It's like annoying for us, but when they wear like a hat and sunglasses, it's probably because yeah, they're just sick of seeing the flash.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And then yeah, we had like a little bit of a wait, and then our next photo op was Alexa Bliss, and I think we had three photo ops, one each individually, and then we had our group photo op. What do you remember about the Alexa Bliss photo op?
I remember my single photo turning out terribly, and I have like crazy eyes. I have the most awkward smile, but it didn't really matter because we've met her before. But that duo photo, we had everyone laughing.
Yeah. So yeah, I remember when we were trying to like think in line, well, what do we want to do with this photo? And which is kind of weird for us because we never really discuss what we want to do with a photo. We just kind of go in there, do the whole arm around shoulder thing, click by. But this time, for whatever reason, we were trying to think of what we can do for this photo op, and we decided where like her nickname is the goddess or whatever. And I remember we went your photo op, venue asked her if we can do this, like, we're praying to the goddess kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then she said yes, and then she did the whole, like, her little, like, I don't know how you want to call it,
The
like
pose.
her pose, the bitchy, like, I'm the goddess pose kind of thing. And then we were praying to her, and everyone was laughing, and Alessa broke down laughing afterwards, even.
Yeah, I think everyone really had a good laugh over that because I don't think anyone had ever done that before. So like the cameraman, everything, they were all just having a good laugh. I think we even got told by one of her reps or something, like that was hilarious when we were walking out. I just
Oh, yeah.
really positive.
Yeah, I remember that being really positive, which is pretty wild that, like, I've never even had a really positive, like, people talking about how great your pose is and whatever. So that was a pretty cool, like, experience. And I think that's all we did for photo ops on the Friday. I can't really remember anybody else, but maybe there was, and we'll mention it briefly during Saturday and Sunday. That might have happened on the Friday. We just can't really remember. I do remember we took some time, we walked through the concourse and we looked at the different vendors they had. Anything that stuck out to you, or do you even remember anything
No,
about?
I don't even remember buying anything. It was just pretty much like I think Ace is kind of more known for just like prints, comic prints and that sort of thing. So I think we were just kind of tapped on money, especially knowing that we had another event in a couple weeks.
Yeah, which we'll get into in the next episode. But before then, yeah, I think I remember trying to find a shirt. I can't remember. Maybe it was. I was trying to find a shirt to buy because I like to buy shirts at cons, and I just couldn't for the life of me. And then, yeah, we just kind of said, whatever, we're done. Let's just get out of here. And then we kind of went for uh some dinner, and we went to, I think the mall was called like the Westgate Mall, and I gotta say that mall was awesome. It was just so lively, and it was so nice lit up and everything. And I'm a big sucker for like a live crowd and a nice like neon night light look type thing to it.
Yeah, almost felt like you were in like kind of like a backyard when people string up lights and everything. Like, oh, yeah, it was
Yeah.
pretty lively that weekend we were there, and there's just like a lot of people who, because there's a big AMC theater right there, so definitely brought in people who weren't even there for them.
Yeah, that's right.
So
I don't know if there was any movie that weekend, but maybe there was. I don't remember. But yeah, it was just busy in general and just very happening. And then we had, I can't even remember the name of the restaurant we went to. Wait, we went there in like Chicago or something, or Seattle too,
what was it? Clubhouse.
with the big beer I had
Yeah,
Seattle too. I don't remember the name. Um, if I do remember, I'll post it here now. But yes, after that, we just kind of went back, and at this point, it was already like 10:30 kind of thing, and we had to be up stupid early because we want to be there early. So we just kind of crashed, woke up early, and then the next day, we went over back to Ace Comic Con, and this was on the Saturday. This was like your main event day, and we got there early. What do you remember about arriving there so early and everything?
I mean, it wasn't really that busy when we got there, because we always arrive early. But I don't know, the weather was perfect. Just had to be in a t-shirt, and we went back to our usual like spot after we did like a couple walk arounds, and once people started kind of appearing, we
I
went to.
remember I remember they kept playing like a 10-minute loop, but like at the venue of different events that they were going to be hosting. And it was like, they would play like 5 songs, like little 10-second clips of each songs. I remember one was like ZZ Top and something.
Yeah, because it was all the concerts coming to was it the Gila, Gila River Arena?
Hmm.
It was so funny. It just kept looping over and over.
Yeah, it was a pretty intense, and it was only like a 3-minute like ad, and it was just literally looping. And we were there for like 30 straight hours just listening to that. And yeah, it was pretty good, pretty fun. But yes, then the con began, and this is the big day. We had a lot of different photo ops this day. Let's kind of go through them all, unless because mainly we just focused on the photo op. So we got through the metal detectors, plural. We just kind of went by one on both of the following guests. I don't remember which one's on Saturday, which one's on Sunday. I do know we met the actress who plays Jessica Jones in the Netflix series.
Yep. I think she was first or second, along with David Tennant.
Yeah. So what do you remember about Jessica Jones? I'm blanking on her name.
I just remember her being very friendly, super.
It's super friendly, like
Yeah.
wholly, like overly friendly versus the character she plays in like Breaking Bad, and Jessica Jones is like you're not a friendly person. She's like mom friendly and everything. And yeah, I found out that day she was like at that time she was like something like 45 or something like that. And I was like,
Oh yeah, I
yeah.
remember that. Yeah, we thought she was way younger.
Yeah, I thought she was like our age, but she's way older than that, which is pretty good for her to look so great at such a young age, right? Like, or such an
Yeah.
old age, right? Looks years younger. And then yeah, we had David Tennant, and this was kind of a cool photo up because there was also the TARDIS in the actual photo. So we got like the Doctor time traveling machine, and we got a photo of him. What do you remember about this photo?
Yeah, I remember that being a cool photo to get because I don't think they ever did that again, or he did that again at least. I've never seen that at another con, like announce that they do that. So that was a pretty unique photo to do. You know, he had those pearly white teeth that just glistened in the photo op.
Yes, yeah. So when you look back at the photo up, you can just like once you look at it, you can't unlook at it how bright his white teeth are. And every once in a while, you'll see a celebrity or even a wrestler like Roman Reigns that time that just have overly white teeth
Oh,
for
yeah.
some reason, where it's like
Like he
unnaturally
just,
white.
it's like he just came out of the dentist. Like they just shoved, and then he just showed up at the con.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
He was pretty fun though. I definitely liked him way more after we met him. He was super friendly. You know, that like British nice.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. It was pretty cool. Did you meet Charlie Cox? I know he was there. I didn't meet him because I met him in Edmonton.
Yeah, I did meet Charlie. Yeah, because you met him already and I needed him because yeah, there's no other chance I had the opportunity to meet him. So he was pretty nice, you know. I know he just said like a few words, but you know, he had a good personality, I'd say. You know, like you could tell he was a genuine guy.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, he was nice when I met him too, for sure. And then our last photo up for the day, I believe, was one of the big ones. Michael Fassbender, who is Magneto and amongst many other things, but Magneto in like the prequel X-Men movies. What do you remember
Yeah.
about meeting Michael Fassbender?
Well, obviously he was one like the reason or one of the main reasons we went. I know that this was the only time he did a comic expo, I'm pretty sure, but I really liked when we met him. I thought he was super cool.
Yeah, I was super hyped, especially because he's like the those X-Men movies, kind of a weird, like all over the place in terms of quality. And they were just coming off of X-Men Days of Future Past, if memory serves me
Mhm.
correctly. And
Yeah.
it was right before X-Men Apocalypse. So I was like, okay, X-Men, they finally got a hold of this X-Men thing and they're gonna make these movies good, and we're finally gonna get Apocalypse, which is gonna be amazing. And then the next, yeah, which wasn't, and then Dark Phoenix also wasn't. But
Yeah.
yeah, at that time I was like, all right, I got Magneto, and these movies are awesome. But yeah, it was what it was, right?
Yeah. He was, and I remember him being like almost in like a Christmas sweater. It was kind of funny, but
Yeah, yeah. And then I believe afterwards we just kind of left, and I think we did the restaurant and your buddy on the Sunday. So then on the Saturday, we just drove home, and then we went to a American Walmart, which I mean, for most people, it's like, whatever, it's just a Walmart. But this was like my first time in a Walmart, and it was a American Walmart anyway. And it was like pretty massive by
oh yeah.
comparison. And just being able to buy liquor at a Walmart and everything is kind of like an obscure premise to me, because in Canada you can only buy liquor from like a designated liquor store, right?
Yeah, anything with a liquor license. But yeah, even when you go in like just a grocery store and stuff, I know we didn't go in a grocery store, but
Oh,
it's all like, you know, they all have like designated alcohol aisles.
yeah, it was pretty crazy. It was pretty cool. It was a neat little experience. And yeah, this is probably one of the earliest times we left the con on a Saturday that early.
Yeah, I remember us being kind of beat, and there just wasn't really much to do.
Yeah, the guest lineup was a little small, and I guess it's different when you just have a house to go to versus a hotel. So if you have a hotel, you're probably more encouraged to go more exploring. You're probably situated somewhere downtown and stuff like that in the heart of the city and everything, right?
Yeah, I did wish they kind of had the location, not in Glendale, but maybe more closer to things. I know Ace kind of it's hit or miss where they have the location.
Yeah, for sure. For me, in hindsight, I liked it because we ended up going like a couple weeks later to the more downtown core, right?
Yeah.
And so I got like a little bit of both scenarios in that experience. Then, yes, so the next day was the last day of the con. And any memories about getting to the con on the Sunday morning or anything?
No, not really on the Sunday. It was just kind of like I know what was it? It was kind of more just like get the rest of the photo ops done just so we have something to do on the third day.
Yeah, so we had three photo ops, if I recall here. We had the first one was the actress who plays Storm from the reboot series, and I believe she was not even in any of the X-Men movies yet, because she was going to make her debut in the upcoming X-Men Apocalypse movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you remember about her?
I actually don't remember much. I remember her being very friendly. Remember big smiles from her. And yeah, just remember it being kind of a quick photo op.
Yeah, I don't remember anything at all, and I can't really recall if she's done anything since then. But yeah, our next photo op was kind of a cool one. It's the actor Ty Schillinger or something like that. He was the actor who's in Cyclops in those X-Men reboots, but he's also in like Ready Player One as the main character and everything.
Yeah, I was pretty excited about meeting him because I love Ready Player One.
Hmm.
Seen that movie a few times. I thought it was just a really well put together movie.
Yeah, to me, he's kind of like a sleeper guest. He's actually like really big, but
Yeah.
doesn't get like a lot of the like mainstream media that he's like. You go through his IMDb, he's like, oh, he's in that. Oh, he's in that. It's kind of a wild experience.
Yeah, he's in what, Baby Driver? That was a really good movie. He's just in a ton of like solid, memorable movies. But yeah, I felt like he was kind of a sleeper at the con. People didn't really like take it back unless we maybe Saturday was different, but we were kind of watching the lines and it wasn't like the most busy Ace Comic Con, I feel like.
Yeah, I think it's because like we mentioned, this is a really unique lineup. Instead of focusing on MCU actors or even the DCEU, which had like big, huge actors, they decided to go with the third most popular comic book fandom, which was the X-Men series. But like those X-Men ones are a little bit different because like people will see them because they're there, but it's not like you're getting like Hugh Jackman or something. You're just getting
Yeah.
like the reboot sequel series. And yeah, Michael Fassbender was huge, but like, getting Ty Schillinger here, I can't pronounce his last name for the life of me. It's just not like they also market him as Cyclops. They didn't kind of delve into his other roles, right? So it might
Yeah.
have been like a perception thing where the guests at the con didn't even know, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Then I believe our last photo was our like big main event, and we got the Kingsman himself. We got
Taron Egerton.
Taron Egerton. Yes. Do you remember about him? I know
I
it's a big one.
Yeah, he was like my number one just because of his roles in Kingsman and some other movies. Like, yeah,
I don't think he would have been in Rocketman yet. I think Rocketman was set to come out like that summer or whatever.
yeah, it was announced and the trailer came out and everything. If I recall, but
Yeah,
yeah,
it's in like he was in the Robin Hood at the time. I think that movie flopped though. But yeah, like I was definitely super excited, and like he's one of my like front runners who I want as like the MCU's Wolverine.
yeah, 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 he was in like that movie Eddie the Eagle, and yeah, I just like his acting. So
Yeah, and I do remember he was like a very like I think this was just I know he's been to another Ace at least because you got the autographs at Chicago or whatever it was, but I do remember this was his like first time at a con and it was just like very and we were might have been like the first or within the first five people to meet him and he was like very nice, very friendly and took his time and it was a really cool experience.
yeah, I remember we weren't first because there's what, two kids in front of us and they had like suits on and everything to like be like Kingsmen. That was adorable.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, it was pretty cool. So yeah, that was basically the con experience. Anything about the con before we get on to the little bit left of our trip here?
I guess the biggest guest they brought that we didn't meet was Loki, like Tom
All right.
Hiddleston, but
Yeah,
because we just met him at
yeah.
Seattle. And
6 months earlier, yeah. So there was no point. But yeah, he was obviously like the only MCU actor, and he was driving massive groups and photo ops, right?
Yeah.
It's almost kind of nice not having to deal with that.
Yeah, it was nice not having to need to get him for a photo op because the
Yeah.
lines, yeah, that was the biggest draw.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, it wasn't a big draw for us, but yeah, definitely was the biggest draw hands down. And then yeah, I think that was basically all the guests we met and all the guests at the con or whatever. Then after we decided to go get a bite to eat, you weren't able to take your ride there, so we had to take an Uber back. And if I recall correctly, what was the name of the restaurant again that we went to?
Yard House. It was the Yard House.
The Yard House was the day before.
Oh,
Yeah. There's
we went to, what was it? We had to like walk 20 minutes or something.
It was like the Lumberjack Girls or
Yeah,
whatever.
it was like Twin Peaks or something like
Twin
that.
Peaks, yeah. And yeah, it was good enough, I guess. It was a cool kind of
Yeah,
experience.
the food wasn't bad. And then it was kind of funny because we saw like a family there.
Yeah, yeah, so it's kind of funny. They are family restaurants, but like obviously the focus is like the sex appeal, right? Which is a little bit of a funny experience. And then I remember there was somebody who like brought his own like food with him and he just wanted to get drinks. I can't remember. I think there was a football game and if it would have been January going on and it was a weekend of January, so it would have been like the final week of the NFL regular season. So it kind of mattered pretty like big. And I'm pretty sure the Arizona was like, they were doing really good that year in 2019. I think they didn't make it to the playoffs, but I'm pretty sure they were in the playoffs. I know one year they made it to like the Super Bowl but lost, and I can't remember what year that was exactly. But yeah, it was like really big, and there was like everyone was there to watch the football game and everything. And then yeah, afterwards we took an Uber and we met your best friend. I remember I was just so burnt out from the trip and everything that I just went in the back seat. I just kind of
forced me in the front seat. That's what you did.
No, you went there on your own choice. And yeah, what do you remember about your best friend?
He just told me how amazing his son is.
It was like a 25-minute drive to your place, and the entire time he was just talking about how great his son was.
Yeah, he was just the best. He just did everything. He was the best at everything. He did everything. Man, his son was the best.
It's so funny. And then yeah, I had a good laugh at that. And then afterwards, you just gave me hell for not really participating in the conversation.
Yeah, you just sat there.
I didn't sat there. I was on my phone.
I hated you so much, bro.
It was so good.
I just want a quiet Uber drive. No one needs to talk? I'm not paying you to talk to me. Just
I don't know. It's a part of the like service that comes with it, right? Like,
but whenever I said something, his son did it better.
Yeah, that was the funny thing is like no matter how you tried to change the conversation, it all kind of went back to his son. Like he is this only father. Obviously, he's gonna love his son, but yeah, man, this guy's conversation was only on his son, right? He must have like his son must have been like our age or something for him to remember us, right? Like I find that when you talk to like somebody with like a parent or whatever, and they're a similar age, then boom, they just kind of want to go to your area. So yeah, then after the econ, you drove me to the airport and I went home. So yeah, anything in closing about this trip?
I know it was probably one of the more mellow Ace Comic Cons we did. Probably one of the more mellow Comic Con experiences in a whole, probably.
Yeah, for sure. So how do you rank this in comparison to the other ones?
Well, I'd still like the guest lineup, and that's what Ace kind of delivers. The con itself was kind of, there's like a couple loops, and then you're kind of done at it's like a small Comic Con. I don't know. I'd still rate it probably a B.
Yeah, I think a solid B was good. Like, I still like the guest list, but I think it just loses points more. Like, there's nothing overly exciting, like, but it was fun to go on a trip. But when you even compare trips, it's probably like we didn't really do much. We just went to the con and we kind of hung out, and that's really about it. So it was a really mellow experience in general. So I think I can agree to a B. But yeah, like if there was maybe a couple different bigger guests, or if maybe it was like more centered downtown or something like that, then it maybe would have been better, or some other type of things. Like say if Seattle, we got a little bit lucky because there's also that Marvel exhibit, so they kind of paired nicely, right? Whereas this, there wasn't really anything else going on. So it was just boom, go on your trip. It was early January and everything. And yeah, that was basically the con. So yes, in closing overall.
No, another great discussion about our previous comic expos we've been to.
Yeah, so coming up next week is this time we're going to take a little bit of a step back and go into a different direction. Instead of doing our next con, just going to go into our next trip, which had definitely a con experience to it. And we're going to do the 2019 Royal Rumble. So be on the lookout for that. And I'll check you guys in the next video.